Okay, I hereby call this meeting to order. I would like to thank you for being here tonight, and anyone else joining us by way of live stream. We thank you for being here. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Sue Pettit.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, all of our board members are in attendance tonight, and we're ready to proceed. So there are a few addendum materials on the following topics: human resource report, media and communications report, free and reduced eligibility report, and the draft of the bond proposal. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the addendum. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I see none. That motion passed. Next on the agenda is to approve approval of minutes. I would entertain a motion to approve the following minutes: a special meeting for Highland High School future planning on August 1st, special meeting, public hearing, Highland High School future planning August 8th, special meeting to review public input for future planning August 10th, executive session real property August 10th, a regular board meeting August 15th, executive session student discipline and special meeting for action August 16th, special meeting for reviewing Highland and Century enhancement designs, and an approval letter of intent of exchange for real property on August 28th. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the minutes as presented.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passed. Next on the agenda is approve the consent agenda, which includes authorizing payment of claims, approving the supplemental financial information, and approving the human resource activity. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the authorization of claims and the consent agenda.
And is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Is there a discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none. That motion passed. Next on the agenda. Oh, wait a minute. I take it's on the back of this thing, isn't it? There we go. Sorry. I got lost. Okay, next on the agenda are the self-explanatory reports, which include the Idaho General Fund revenue forecast, the Head Start monthly program report, and the student enrollment information. And we'll move on to recognitions by Courtney Fisher.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, trustees, Dr. Howell, and Ms. Jensen. Oh, no, yes? Yeah. There we go. Okay, I just wasn't close enough. Okay, good evening. Tonight we'll recognize an individual who, through his actions, support and embodies our district mission to think more, learn more, and be more together. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Roy Allen to join me at the podium. So Mr. Allen was recently named the 2023 Special Needs Driver of the Year by the Idaho Association of Pupil Transportation. So the IAPT website describes the award as follows. It takes a very special person to transport students with special needs. This award focuses on those who do an exceptional job every day and truly care about the students. Mr. Allen was nominated for the award by School District 25 Transportation Supervisors Jeffrey Corrington and Samantha Steed. And their nomination letter reads, I think this is really important. We all know wonderful employees that consistently perform their job responsibilities without requiring a lot of supervision. They are the quiet types that show up for their shifts on time, drive their routes without problems, treat others with kindness and respect, and never complain. We have an employee that fits this classification and would like him to be considered for the Special Needs School Bus Driver of the Year award. Roy Allen has worked for the Pocatello Chubbuck School District 25 for the past 9 years, first as a substitute bus driver and for the past 4 years as a special needs bus driver. During his employment with our district, he has proven himself to be an asset to our transportation department. Roy's calm and even temperament helps our department reach a high level of service to our community, especially the special needs students he works with on a daily basis. The families of his students trust him and appreciate the job he does. Roy is a dependable, reliable, conscientious individual. He has an ability to make sound judgment in relation to the responsibility he has in safely transporting the children of the school district to and from school. He maintains a high standard of discipline that is expected of our special needs route drivers while safely maneuvering the buses he drives through all the traffic conditions. Roy is friendly, courteous, and positive with the students, district staff, and other school district patrons that he works with. He takes pride in the work that he does and is responsible, on time, and willing to do whatever it takes to complete his assignment safely and professionally. Roy earned the respect of management and staff to become a trainer where he delivers exceptional services to others as he helps them become great employees. We appreciate him. It is people like Roy that we believe greatly influence the children, students he works with because the students are able to feel safe and secure while in his care. He values the children he works with and encourages them to achieve their potential. Roy brings out the good in his students and they bring out the best in him. This is not the first time that School District 25 transportation staff members have been recognized for their outstanding efforts. In addition to this year's award, in 2019, the IAAPT named Dennis Otley as Driver of the Year and Connie Clark as Special Needs Driver of the Year. So with that, I want to congratulate you and thank you for the example that you set to our transportation staff and all the staff members with District 25. I believe that this plaque belongs to you. So, and then we have just a little bit of District 5 for you as well.
Congratulations, and thank you for your good work.
And if anybody from transportation wants to come up and congratulate.
Congratulations.
Again, let's give one more round of applause for our special 2023 Special Needs Driver of the Year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Courtney. Okay, next on the agenda is public and written comment on topics not pertinent to the agenda action items. No written comment was received, but we do have one request for public comment. I would like to remind everyone to keep all comments civil and respectful. Complaints about personnel or individual students are not allowed in an open board meeting. The board does not respond to delegations. However, comments are referred to the appropriate staff member for follow-up, and the board is informed of the outcome of those events. And our public comment is by Melissa Schrade. That'd be fine.
I'm starting my 3-minute timer. Dear members of the school board, I come before you not with an attack, but instead a plea. In accordance with the Pocatello Chubbuck School District Policy 3304, I am pleading with you to add specific verbiage in regards to any student's desire to be called an alternate name or identified as a gender different than the one they started out with. The policy states that if there are known changes to a student's mental, emotional, or physical health or well-being, school personnel are responsible to notify the student's parent/legal guardian of such changes. I strongly suggest that the policy continues in this verbiage by adding, as part of a student's mental well-being capacity for learning, if a student expresses a desire to be called by a different name or asked to be recognized as a different gender than what they were born with, school personnel have an obligation to immediately contact the parent or legal guardian. And here's why. My child attended Century High School for her freshman sophomore, and very briefly her junior year. My child requested at the beginning of her freshman year that she be called by a different name and gender. I was never informed about this. The only way I found out about this was by accident when her math teacher expressed concern that Adrian wasn't in class. I told him he had the wrong number. Long story short, after counseling and therapy, which, let's be honest, if Jennifer wants to be Jack and Paul wants to be Paulina, common sense would dictate a minimal amount of therapy, to say the least. The family agreed to call her by Adrian after digging deep and making a conscious decision to love my kid for who she was. Even so, in 1 week, it will be a year since I found her lifeless body hanging from the ceiling. Would that have changed if I had been notified earlier? We will never know. Practically speaking, it delayed therapy for my amazing kid. I'm once again pleading with the school board to do the right thing. Let us know immediately. If our kids decide on something as huge as gender identity, we can't help them if we don't know what's happening. I guarantee if my kid was caught vaping in the bathroom or got in a fight, I would immediately be notified. At least I hope so. How much more important is this? It underestimates our ability as parents, mistakes and all, and is a blatant assumption that you, the educators, know what is better for our children than we do. Please add the wording so no other parent ever has to see what I saw. I am not the enemy. The enemy is the lie that these kids should keep something so big from the people who love them the most. Respectfully, Madison Thorne's mom.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
We'll now move on to reports, which include the bond election budget and the media report and community relations update by Courtney Fisher.
Okay, in your addendum tonight is the media report, and that is pretty self-explanatory. The one thing I will draw your attention to on that is we have new website analytics, and they're not accurate, so I didn't include them. I need to dive into it a little bit and come up with a way to track that information that matters so that I can present it to you about how our website information is performing. We have rolled out, or are in the process of rolling out, ready to roll out, the bond election communications, all that information that we are so eager to share with our community. So the website, which is sd25.us/elections, has been reviewed and approved by legal counsel, as has the bond elections fact sheet that is in your addendum tonight. That has been reviewed and approved by legal counsel as well. Also in your addendum is a postcard that we would like to hand out this weekend in conjunction with Idaho State University's homecoming. We'll be participating in the parade. We'll be passing out district stickers, candy, and then the bond election information. I have approved that through legal as well, that activity. We've given a few presentations. Dr. Howell and I visited with the Pocatello-Chubbuck Chamber of Commerce last Friday to their chamber executive board, and that board did vote to publicly endorse the bond. After that, we have presented to 3 schools this information just in draft form before legal counsel approved it. So barring any changes from you or requests, then we will go ahead and get these printed and begin that public information campaign. And then also in your packet for tonight is the information that we went over last week with the proposed budget for information communications. So that will be later on in the action agenda to consider approval.
Okay. That's it.
Any questions? Let me just draw your attention to the postcard. There are some things that, this is a draft form, it says draft on there. There are some changes that we're going to make just to kind of bump up some text so that it's really readable, increase some font sizes, and make a couple of other changes with the sketches so that we can get those a little bit bigger. So I will share that final form with you as soon as I have that back from the designer.
So if you can just clarify so what you're showing on this postcard when you say without the school district facilities fund and with the facilities fund,
Mm-hmm.
we expect that fund to be available for 3 years, 2 years? Is that what this is saying?
I believe that those projections are through 2027, but we've included here through 2025.
Okay.
You run the risk of sharing too much information. We're sharing a lot
Right,
of
you don't
information.
want to overwhelm.
And the strategy here is, we want a piece that tells the entire story, and there's a lot to tell. And so that's what this fact sheet is. This is more a kind of a guide through the presentation, if you will. It's available on our website for people who want to download it and really, but this is just kind of a guide to the presentation. It tells really the whole story. Then the postcard is a more simplified version of that. You can use the QR code to take you directly to the website. These sketches are all available online. I encourage you to go look at the website at your convenience. These sketches are in a gallery. You can blow them up. You can print them out. So there's as little information as people want to glean from this, and then we are allowing more information for people who want to really dive into the numbers. We're working on a piece right now called Understanding School District 25's Tax Impact that really shows the comparison between the school district supplemental levy, the school plant facility levy, and the bond, so that they can really understand what we mean when we say that this bond has a net zero tax impact.
Okay. Looks good. Does that help, Ms. Clark?
I'm just sitting here thinking, I've been through many meetings where I understand these numbers, and it's a little confusing. And so I'm thinking if I'm a little confused, yeah. I mean, I know what you, I mean, the Herculean task that you have, and I frankly, I don't know how I would change it, because I think this is, like you say, it's going to require people to be invested in learning more, and coming to ask questions, and making sure that they really understand what's going on.
There are
on this.
complexities to the financial impact and the tax
Yeah.
impact of this, and we're trying to get in front of as many people, because it really does invite dialogue
Yeah.
to be able to better just illustrate that and describe it. We will try to do this in video form as well.
Do you have the numbers spreadsheet just right there?
I do
at your
not, I didn't
disposal?
bring it because I don't have it published yet.
Right.
'Cause-
Okay. I didn't know if you just had it in your
Yeah,
file that
I'll
we could
send
show
the
board.
understanding tax impact to you. Piper Sandler is overviewing that right now just to make sure all of our numbers are correct.
correct.
So I have a place for it on the website, but I took it down while that's pending review. But I'll share that with you as well.
Okay. I mean, I guess, we don't talk about the bond equalization on this either. Is that intentional, or, it just adds one more level of complexity,
Right.
I guess, to it. Or is that important for people to understand?
Yes,
I
it is.
think the
In
bond
fact, Mrs. Judy
equalization-
was with us.
Right.
I wanted
yesterday and again
I
today.
wanted to suggest something about that.
Uh-huh.
There are 3 reasons why I very much support this, and they're really not, I guess, really focused on here. The first one is we get 30% back of every payment for this bond repayment. That's huge, because then our property tax money goes that much farther in everything that we do. That's why we're doing a bond. That's why we included Century, so that we could look at the district and see what does our district need moving forward. And the best way to do that is a bond, because we get 30% of that back. The second thing is the facilities funds, and people say, that one teacher that shouted out, can you explain that? I'm like, okay, people don't believe that it will have a zero impact because they don't understand.
Right.
And the thing is that the reason why they don't believe it is because this is new. And the reason why they haven't ever heard of this before is because it's brand new legislation. So I think we need to let them know, it's brand new. That's why you haven't ever heard of this before. And it's going forward. And so this is true, that facilities fund will cover our entire bond payment. It is absolutely true.
Right.
And then the third thing is just, whenever you have, there's, misnomers out there about, what about insurance money? They were underinsured, they were, misused it, all these different things, which is all not true. All of the insurance money will go to pay for this, and I just want that. to
Right,
be
and we
sure that-
have the insurance money on here, and I can look at ways that we can call those things
Just
out.
like those three things, and
Right.
that's why I'm supporting this, just really very directly and simply.
Right.
We get 30% of our payment back, we get all of our payments covered through this bond thing, and then all of the insurance money can go for a big down payment. So those, to me, that's pretty crucial.
Right, and in a PDF, we can link to other information. That the challenge here is we have to educate about a lot on this bond, and so including it all in one piece is gonna be really challenging. My goal is to have one piece that kind of overall tells the whole story. We could tell that bond equalization story a little bit better. We could link right in this PDF for people who are looking at it digitally, that they could take to find out more information about that. Same thing with
But on each
the,
one of those three things, you could have a little QR code. Do you want to know how?
right.
Then this one. Do
And
you
we,
wanna know
and we are
more?
going to
You know?
segment this out in future communications. This is one piece that tells the overarching story.
Right.
And then the goal is to take throughout the weeks, here's how this will have a net zero tax impact, and just do that communication and lead them to other supporting documents.
I guess what I'm struck by is when I see this seems like the weeds. That if someone really wants this kind of detail, they will click through to get to it. But if you were to highlight those, you know, the people that are gonna look at this piece are gonna be the glancers, you know, and they're gonna wanna see what's my net, and if there was a way to say, you know, the zero impact, that's gonna resonate. And then those that really wanna get under the weeds and see the
Right.
details. I mean, I'm
But it-
torn because I think this is important information, but I'm also thinking about the mass that are gonna get this postcard. I assume we're mailing some, or those that you're gonna see at a football game. They're gonna be at a football game, they're not gonna study this piece, but they're gonna wanna see what's gonna jump out at me? And I don't know that enough jumps out on this piece. Is that, am I?
There's a lot to jump out. So
There's a lot. Oh, I
look
know.
at it again. I
And I
mean,
know
when
this
we're
is an
building the website, I'm
incredibly
like, this is a
difficult-
priority, put this at the top, and this is a priority, put this at
Yeah.
the top. And you can't put everything at the top, so we're going to have to do a really good job at having one comprehensive piece. I think it's really important to have a comprehensive piece that tells the entire story.
Right.
And then take bits and pieces of that to reinforce what this story is telling with supporting documentation. That's the
Yeah.
plan.
But-
And if there are changes that we can make to these pieces to strengthen them, we will absolutely take a look at those.
Make
and
the
regroup
zero
tomorrow.
net just blaring, no.
Why do you think it's
I-
important
I-
that our property tax money, that they know that that's valuable? And all the other districts in the state are taking advantage of getting 30% of their property, of their.
28.04.
Oh, I know.
This
I
year,
keep
27
saying
last
30%.
year.
It is not 30%, it is
Right.
28.04.
Yeah,
I need to remember that, I need to say
Right.
28.04. I round up, because like if I see jeans for 28% off, I'm like, they're 30% off.
Well, and it's,
Okay, so 28%, which is important. It is important to be exactly correct. So we get 28% of that money back, and other districts in the state are taking advantage of that. But ultimately, it's all of our money that's going to pay for projects across the state. Why don't we get that?
Right.
Why don't we take advantage of taking that money back into our district? And the only way to access that is through bond. Anyways, I'm just.
Just
let us
two
take your
cents.
feedback and incorporate a couple of these.
absolutely.
I agree with Courtney, we need one comprehensive piece, and then we need all of those supplementary materials that they can go as far and deep and, you know, come in and talk to us, we'll go talk to them. But I do think a couple of these, we might be able to
Yeah, absolutely.
incorporate into maybe every piece.
Right,
in some
And keep
way.
in mind, we have to have that financial disclosure. I'm putting it on both pages.
Yeah.
No, I-
And so it eats up a lot of space too. And so we are limited for the amount of space that we have, but we will try to call some of those and tell the story that we want to tell, because I think it's
But I also,
important.
this cannot be mailed. I mean, there's no way to mail this piece.
We're not going to mail
You're not
this.
gonna
We're
do
going to
mailing.
mail this one. And
Oh,
this
okay.
is a postcard that doesn't have a mailing panel yet.
Right, oh, okay.
We're starting with this as a handout
Gotcha.
for the parade, and then we'll redesign this so that it has and this is the piece that will be
mailed out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, the financial disclosure could be on one side, because you could, you know, I know you said if you take a picture of one side, they could say, oh, it's not there. But if you say, see important financial disclosure on the reverse, then if they take a picture of it, they cannot say, I
Right.
mean, it says right in bold at the bottom, see important financial disclosure on reverse.
Okay,
So that
I'll
it's
speak
not
with Mr.
so
Helgeson about
wordy.
that, right?
Yeah.
I'm just also trying to cover our bases so that we
Oh, I
don't
wanted-
invalidate any election results. And so
Oh, for
I'm
sure.
taking a very conservative approach to have it on there. It's tiny, but we can certainly look at that suggestion.
Well, and we don't have a lot of time.
Well,
I
and that's the
appreciate
thing,
that.
is like, it's been a mad
recognize
rush to get these materials prepared. I want to make sure that we are telling the story that we want to tell and sharing the information that is the most important to taxpayers.
I think-
At the same time, our community is very eager to get their hands on this information, so,
Mhm.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. I
right.
think it looks
thank you.
really good.
Thank you, Courtney, appreciate that. Next on the agenda is curriculum and instruction, school safety and athletics. We will start with Amy Boy, who will report on the 2023-2024 Continuous Improvement Program, plan, not program.
Good evening. Included in the packet is the 2023-2024 Continuous Improvement Plan. That information was presented September 12th during the work session, and the board will be asked to adopt the plan under action items. If you remember, the plan included our narrative, which was the mission, vision, and community involvement, and we decided to include the literacy intervention program and the college and career advising program. It included the metrics, which had we set targets in certain areas for our data after that was based on data analysis. And it also included reflection on successes, challenges, and plans moving forward, that's what makes it a continuous improvement plan. Finally, it included staff performance data. And so we would, if there are no other questions, we would ask that you adopt that as presented this evening so we can get it submitted to the state by October 1st deadline.
Okay, is there any questions, comments? Okay,
Great.
thank you, Amy, appreciate that. Okay, next, Tanya Wilkes will report on the out-of-state and overnight travel request.
We have some great activities coming up in October and November for band and student council. We have 3 Highland High School band overnight and travel to Logan, American Fork, St. George, and then student council going to Boise in October, and then speech and debate going to Bozeman in November for Pocatello High School. Do you have any questions?
I don't. You have some? Thank you. That was short. Appreciate that. Okay, next we'll move on to business operation report, which will be presented by Jonathan Balls, and a report on Infinite Campus IC Technology Department updates, policy 5104, purchasing guide, second reading for adoption, letter of intent for exchange of real property, of the Olympus Jerome vacant property appraisal and proposed resolution, and the Piper Sander underwriter engagement letter, and the bid awards. Okay, Jonathan, it's all
Okay,
yours.
thank you. Nope. Thank you for your time this evening, board members. Real quick, wanted to give an update from technology. They are, once school has started and they're preparing for the first IC submission, which will close, it will open the beginning, at the end of this month. And just a reminder, that these are basically all the data that of our teachers, of our learners, attendance, the classes that their teachers teach and so forth, that gets submitted to the state several times throughout the year. And this is how we get our funding. That's how they know how many teachers we have, what our attendance is, and so forth. And so it's a big deal. Several different files, several different even departments to pull all this together. And so technology department's doing a great job there. It'll be submitted by the this first reporting period by mid-October. So I talked to Kevin Chatfield regarding some of their yearly goals. They're looking at purchasing some Chromebooks for replacement, and at that time it'll be brought to the board, as this will be a very, very large purchase to start replacing some of those. And so, and secondly, that they are still in flux. They're doing a great job to support our students and our staff. They're between homes, if you will, Again, a lot of the service center, there across from our, there on Pershing, is now used by the Arches program. And so they moved into our building close to Pocatello High School, what we call the ITB building. And they're working, putting up some walls. Our maintenance department's putting up some walls to move there. So some of them are displaced a little bit, but still providing excellent support to our staff and to our learners. So,
Cool.
anyway, there's the update from technology.
So can I ask?
Please.
I think we would be remiss to not acknowledge Carl
You
had a big part in that responsibility,
Absolutely.
and I assume his staff and who all now is taking over that role and how those responsibilities. I think a huge thank you,
Sure.
I think, is warranted for that.
Absolutely.
But his
Absolutely.
presence is missed.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think the greatest, we had a meeting and there were 16 people in there that all were trying to, come together on how Carl affected each one of our jobs, big and small. So yeah, he definitely will be missed.
Yeah.
So, and I will, on that note, I will say that we have seen some great Herculean efforts to pick up where Carl has left off to keep the district running, including even payroll today. And so very successful submitting it today so our employees can get paid tomorrow. So yeah, so it's taken the entire team to fill that one spot by Carl Smart. Yeah, thank you.
Right.
Before you is the second reading of policy 5104. It's the purchasing guide. Again, this change came about by a statute change that ups the limit for asking for bids for professional bids there. And up it from 50,000 to 75,000, and those are the only changes there. And so that is before you later this evening as action item to approve those changes. The next item is as I reported last week on the letter of intent to accomplish an exchange of real property. With the land across from Highland High School, and we would receive that land and then give a portion of our property that is located on Olympus and Jerome. This is the first step that formalizes this process. We have to subdivide our property to be able to give him a portion of that. And so we've started that process. The end result will be a property exchange agreement that we would, of course, bring back to the board, and that would be the document that would be recorded, with the county. So that is for your approval tonight as well. In regard to that, we've received the appraisal. And so before you is a resolution by the Board of Trustees regarding the appraisal of the real property there on Olympus and Jerome. We knew that an appraisal was needed, and so we came out and we secured an appraiser that was the same appraiser that appraised the one across from Highland, so that we could make sure we're comparing apples to apples. And so it shows the value there, and that's just this resolution is just a formal step to accept that appraisal. Okay, moving on. Please stop me if there's anything. The next is just a formal engagement letter from Piper Sandler. Again, if you remember last week, Eric Herringer, the managing director from Piper Sandler, was here to kind of help us understand these bond levy rates, bond terms, and so forth. This is just the engagement letter that authorizes
the board so that we can use Piper Sandler in the event that the bond passes. Again, there would be no cost if the bond did not pass. So that is in front of you as well. The engagement letter and a couple of appendices there as well. And the last item on for my agenda items is a bid award for custodial services. Again, these are for custodial services that help clean our secondary schools. I even to do due diligence, put a pencil if we were to hire all these individuals and so forth. It would be a lot more than what we're seeing here. So again, we opened bids on September 13th. We had invited 8 vendors to bid, and we received 3 bids back that's shown before you. And the lowest responsible bid is the company here in town, Night Owl Janitorial. So it is our recommendation that the board approve Night Owl Janitorial as our custodial services for our secondary schools.
And the cost is that per?
This is an annual cost for the entire district there. We have it down to the room and the square footage, and that they would clean and we do have some of our own custodians there during the day, of course. At nights.
All of the stuff at night then?
Correct.
Custodians will just work in the day?
We do have some evening as well, but all this cleaning will be done. Most of it is done at night, when obviously when the teachers and administration are not in the building. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate all you do and your crew. Okay, next on the agenda is human resource reports, which will be presented by Brenda Miner.
Good evening. I am happy to report on our hiring. We have all of our positions filled for our certified teachers. We also had the opportunity today, I want to focus on the positive piece of it because this is the exciting part that we're still hiring. So we hired 2 new pairs today, but we still are in need of approximately 12. We hired 3 new bus trainees today and 3 after-school people. So we have about 3 more in the after-school program. And then our custodial positions are filled. We have 1 elementary secretary position open. And then in our food service is low. If that would be the area that I would say that we are really trying to push, especially in our high schools for food service positions. Question? Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, next on the agenda is superintendent's report presented by Dr. Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 2 items for you tonight. First up is the board calendar, and you can see regular meeting tonight, of course, and then the legislative tour, which will begin actually for our legislators. Some of them will be arriving to town on Saturday for the ISU football game, and then Sunday they will start part of their tours. Mrs. Fisher is going to be one of the tour guides. And so she will be on a bus on Sunday and Tuesday. But Monday, of course, our focus will be at PV Tech, where we will host the legislators that morning for a little bit of a review of the district. And we'll be sharing that time with Intermountain Gas, who is paying the sponsorship for that morning. So, we'll give a little time to them since they are covering most of the expenses on that. And then, so that's 8 o'clock at PV Tech. On the 28th, it's showing, or 26th, it's showing Key Communicators Network. We're actually going to move that to October 10th. And subsequently, the next meeting, which is scheduled for the end of October for Key Communicators, that may change as well, because I don't know if we'll have enough information to just turn it around in 2 to 3 weeks. So we'll let you know, but again, that meeting has been rescheduled for October 10th. I think Renee may have sent out, or Courtney,
Yeah.
one of them an invite, and so we'll take the first two. If more of you want to be there, we would need to schedule for a quorum. But we will be presenting, I think I gave Courtney 3 items, and of course, one will be the bond. Okay? All right. And then as a reminder too, there's a Google form, and any board member that wants to attend our presentations, make sure if you have the availability and the desire that you come out and be part of those discussions with us. And I appreciate those that have signed up already, and just, again, as your time would allow. But, yeah. So next up, student discipline hearings. That's a placeholder for next Wednesday. Okay, so after tomorrow, we'll have a better idea. And then ISBA regional meeting, October 2nd. Here in our boardroom, we will host all of Region 5. And I think that starts at 5:30. They have it going until 8. A little bit of training, introductions, probably a review of the resolutions. I don't know if you've had an opportunity yet, but the resolutions for ISBA are already on the website. If I haven't sent that link to you, I will tomorrow. And I think there are 7 resolutions, and I glanced through them, and I think all of them are an added value to what we do as a district. So I'll let you look through those, and of course, we'll be voting on them before we head to the conference, and then have our delegation represent, the entire board with our votes for those resolutions to Idaho School Boards Association. Okay, next up, let's see, we have listed on there a couple days of conferences, just so that you're aware. Community prevention meeting on October 10th, if you're interested, again, RSVP to Renee. And board work session, we have calendared for that same day, October 10th. The 11th, back to Wednesday, every other Wednesday, placeholder for student discipline. And then regular board meeting out to the 17th. And I think that's out a month, so that should be good. Again, and as your availability for the different presentations, please feel free to sign up for those. My other item tonight is just a second reading for adoption on superintendent's cabinet, and that adds the director of communications position. And that's my report this evening.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is public and written comment pertinent to the agenda action items, and no written comment was received, and I have no request for comments. So we'll move on to action items. The first item of business is to approve the bond election budget. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board approve the bond election budget as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there a discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That passed. We will move on. That motion passed. We'll move on. Next item is just to adopt the 2023-2024 continuous improvement plan. Is there a motion?
I move that we adopt the 2023-2024 continuous improvement plan.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I see none. That motion passed. Next item is a business to approve the out-of-state overnight travel request. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board approve the out-of-state overnight travel request as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Next item of business is to hear the following policy on second reading for adoption, policy 3102, superintendent's cabinet, and policy 5104, purchasing guide. Is there a motion?
I hereby
move that the board hear on second reading for adoption following policies as presented, policy 3102 and policy 5104.
Is there a second?
A second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passed. Next item of business, to approve the letter of intent for exchange of real property. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that we approve the letter of intent for exchange of real property.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I hear none, that motion passed. The next item of business is to accept the Olympus and Jerome vacant property appraisal and adopt the appraisal resolution. Is there a motion?
I hereby move the board accept the Olympus and Jerome vacant property appraisal and adopt appraisal resolution.
Is there a
as
second?
read.
I'll second.
Okay, is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I hear none, that motion passed. Next item of business is to approve the Piper Sander underwriter engagement letter agreement. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board approve the Piper Sandler underwriter engagement letter agreement as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none, that motion passed. The final item of business is to approve the bid for custodial services. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board award the custodial services bid as presented.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion also passed. That concludes this meeting. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.